Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Humbert here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Anyway, sorry. We are going to be doing today Unit 2, Notes 4. So we're talking about graphing lines, and yes, with a smiley face, because I know how much we all love to graph lines. So let's start by talking about slope-intercept form. So when we put things in slope-intercept form, that's going to be y is equal to mx plus b. So this m is going to represent our slope. So that's what we kind of talked about on the previous note sheet, that rise over run. The b is going to talk about our y-intercept. So let's write that there. So our m is equal to our slope, which again we said was rise over run, and b was equal to our y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some graphing lines. So for number 1, it says y is equal to 1/2 x plus 3. So our slope is being multiplied by the x, so that's 1/2. Our y-intercept is 3. So the first thing I want to do is take my y-intercept and see where I'm crossing the y-axis. So the y-axis is always the vertical one. So we're crossing at 3, so 1, 2, 3. So we're crossing at that point right there. And then my slope is 1/2. Well, that's rise over run. So I'm going up 1 over 2 and plotting that point. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect those two. And that's it. So the biggest thing is if you can get your y-intercept and you know how to use your slope, you're good to go. So let's take a look at this one. So multiplied by the x is the slope. So that's 6, which is the same as 6 over 1. Okay, then we're crossing the y-axis at -3. So we're crossing the y-axis at -3, and then we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 1. So this is going to be a pretty steep slope. So from that y-intercept, we went up 6 over 1. And we're going to go ahead and graph that line. Okay, so that's that line right there. So that's the basis of what we're doing today. So if you can do that, you're in really good shape. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this little chart here. The y-intercept for any graph is where the line crosses the y-axis. So if it's crossing the y-axis. The x-intercept for any line is where it crosses the x-axis. So we're looking at where it's crossing the x-axis versus the y-axis. So let's take a look at writing some equations. Okay, so for number 3, it says write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line with a slope of 1/4, that's my m, and a y-intercept of 6, that's my b. Now remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So let's plug in what we know. Y is equal to, well, m is 1/4, so 1/4 x, plus b, which is 6. Okay, so m is my slope, b is my y-intercept. So I know I'm crossing the y-axis at 6. So I'm going to count to 6 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is right here. And then my slope is 1/4. So that means I'm going up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4 and plotting that point. So now we can go ahead and we can draw a line through those 2 points. Once you have 2 points, you have all the capabilities to draw a line. Okay, so start by graphing your y-intercept and then go ahead and use your slope. So let's take a look at number 4. Now number 4 is a little bit challenging. It wants us to write the equation for a line in slope-intercept form that goes through the points 4, 9, and -2, 0. So before we can do that, we have to calculate up the slope. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's go ahead and calculate out the slope. So we have y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So then 0 minus 9 is a -9. -2 minus 4 is a -6. So we can simplify that down. -9 divided by -6, that's going to be a positive 3 divided by 2. So now we have our slope, but we don't have our y-intercept. We have to figure it out. Well, let's put the pieces together of what we have. So right now, if I were to write out my equation, I would have y is equal to 3/2 x plus b. So I don't know that plus b version. But conveniently, I know 2 points that are going to be on my line. So let's go ahead and let's take a point. Let's plug in this point right here. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y, and I'm going to plug in -2 for x. So 0 goes in for y, and then I have 3/2 times a -2 plus b. So now I have 2 and a -2. So that 2 is on the bottom. So that's kind of like dividing by 2. Well, 2 divided by -2, that'll cancel out just to a -1. So now I have 0 is equal to negative 3, because 3 times negative 1 is 3, plus b. So now to solve for b, I need to add 3 to both sides. And then I get that b is equal to 3. So I can go ahead and I can plug that in for the equation of my line. So then I have y is equal to 3 halves x, so up 3 over 2 plus 3. So now we know on our line that we're crossing the y-axis at 3. So from that point on the y-axis, we need to go up 3 and over 2 and plot that point. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a straight line through those 2 points. Okay? Hopefully your line is a lot more pretty than mine, because that was pretty terrible. Alright, let's take a look at number 5. So for number 5, write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line that goes through. So again, because we have 2 points, we have to calculate out the slope first. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So then I'm going to do y2 minus y1, negative negative has become plus plus, divided by x2 minus x1. Okay? So minus a negative is also going to become plus a positive. So we're going to get 10, negative 1 plus 3 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So now I know my slope is 5. So let's write out what we do know right now. So if we were to write our equation right now, we would have y is equal to 5x plus b. So we don't know what b is, but conveniently we have an x and a y that we can plug in. So you could use either of these 2 points. I usually just pick the first one. So we're going to plug in that for our x coordinate, and we're going to plug in that for our y. So let's go ahead and do that. So we get y is equal to, we know what our y is. Y is 7, or negative 7. So we have a negative 7, and then we're going to do is equal to 5, and then instead of x, I'm going to plug in a negative 3 plus b. Now I'm ready to solve for b. So I have negative 7 is equal to a negative 15 plus b. So now I want to go ahead and I want to add 15 to both sides. So negative 7 plus 15 is 8. So I get that b is equal to 8. So let's go ahead and let's rewrite out my equation. So I have y is equal to 5x plus 8. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph that on my graph. So I'm going to go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to plot that point. So what I notice is that I can't go up 5. I run out of space. Okay, so normally I go up 5, right 1. Because remember, our slope is the same as 5 over 1. But remember, 2 negatives also make a positive. So I could also go down 5 and left 1. So I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 1. And I can go ahead and graph that line. So that's that line right there. Okay, so let's take a look at this last one. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line perpendicular to the line y is equal to 1/5 x plus 2 that goes through the line 2, 0, then graph the line. So the first thing we need to remember about perpendicular line is that it's opposite reciprocals. So right now I have a slope of 1/5, and I want to figure out how a line is going to be parallel to 1/5. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to flip the fraction and I'm going to make it negative. So then that's going to be 5 over 1, and then I make it negative, which is really the same as a negative 5. So I know the slope of my line then is going to be a negative 5. So what I need to do next is I need to go ahead and calculate out that y-intercept. Well, they give me a point up here. So the 2 I can use for my x-coordinate, and the 0 I can use for my y-coordinate. So right now I have y is equal to negative 5x plus b. So we can go ahead and we can plug it in. Okay, so we know y is equal to 0, so we have negative 5, and then my x is going to be 2, so I'm going to plug that in for x plus b. So then I get 0 is equal to negative 10 plus b. So then I'm going to add 10 to both sides, and when I do that, I get that b is equal to 10. So the line that I'm graphing is y is equal to a negative 5x plus 10. So when we graph that, the first thing we want to do is find 10 on our y-axis. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 is up here. And then my slope is negative 5, or negative 5 over 1. So that's the same as down 5, right 1. So we're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 1. And plot that point. Connect them. Hopefully your line is a lot straighter than mine, and that's your line. Okay, so that concludes your note reader today. Please show me your completed note sheet when you're done, and I will give you the homework. Thanks for listening.